All right, I should explain a little bit more about what we're doing at Carroll Woods. Ken has about a 5 year head start on the rest of us, but we have a group called the Friendship Network, and it was started by another resident and myself when we were talking one day, and we discovered we had a similar concern about the number of isolated residents here, people who just do not have any meaningful participation. So we tried to decide what to do there, and as things have evolved, this is sort of in two parts. For the lonely residents, we can really hope to get their neighbors and other people to encourage them to come out more. That's the best way to do it on the um, personal side. And so our turf is kind of out in we can do things out in the common areas and hope that neighbors invite them to their little happy hour, or maybe invite them to lunch or something like that. And we know that some people have very serious problems getting around. They might like to, but they have mobility problems or vision problems or hearing problems. And so that really takes, or they may have emotional problems like they're grieving the loss of their spouse, or they're a caregiver for someone with dementia. And so they have very serious issues that only really a social worker can take care of. And so as we divide things up, we work with the social workers here to refer people to them, and they can get them the expert kind of help that they need. So that's the first part, the isolated people. And then the second part is just more activities for everyone. The more we encourage, the more we do it. And we just finished our second big activity, which we call a mix and meet dinner, where 30 some people just kind of basically put your name in a hat, and then you get assigned to a table at random. And so you may meet somebody new that you pass at the mailbox every day, but you've never really talked to them. And you find out, what? We were both at Purdue at the same time? And so we have a lot in common. And we also encourage a lot of activities that I call affinity groups, people that have one thing in common more than just being a resident here. And that can be Peace Corps volunteers or librarians, or we have one dinner for the Lindas, all the women named Linda. The Nancys also have a dinner. I'm about to start one called Army Brats because my father was in the Air Force. So that's another very powerful tool to use. So I just want to wrap up here by saying this started with a very serious concern. And at least the way Ken and I got started in our groups is it's not about having more activities. It's not really about getting more people to play croquet. And it's the real focus is on the isolated residents, and there are numerous studies which Ken also knows about that do two things. First, they document the serious physical and mental health consequences of isolating, and the most commonly repeated factoid on this. This has been studied. There's a lot of studies about this, but the most commonly repeated factoid is, statistically speaking, loneliness has the same effect on your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So that's just easy to remember. So that's why we have a concern for this. Conversely, there's lots of studies that talk about the benefits of socializing. We all like to see our friends. It makes you feel good, and you can document the physiological effects, and all of a sudden you may find more activities, like you and your friend can go to lunch. So there are all those benefits. And my last point here is, there's a very well-known doctor named Zeke Emanuel, and he's from a very distinguished family of the Emanuel brothers, where one brother is Ram, who was a politician. The other brother is Ari, who was a big Hollywood agent. And so Zeke is the doctor, and he's written a book about living a healthier life, in your later years. And it says the usual things about diet and exercise and all. But when he had a big TV display a few months ago on CBS Sunday Morning, he singled out the dangers of dining alone. And he mentioned this in particular. And so he talks about it. I'll send you the little clip from it. But it's interesting that someone at his level recognizes such a commonplace thing as, we all know there's lots of people here who just come down and get takeout and go right back to their room. And that's what we hope to work on.
We started also with the getting people to dine. We first got 5 or 6 people who said yes, they'll host a table of 6, and um, we then kind of parceled out 30, 40 people that we thought would want to go or haven't been invited. And as you'd expect, the hosts would invite the folks in a variety of ways. Usually, a personal invitation was the best way. Um, and they get a lot of no's or, oh, I have something going on that day. But we keep adding names to, and getting 6 people around, other than those who have severe hearing problems, uh, as that evolved, everyone seemed to like that. And so we did more of it. This was a time where we didn't have our full dining. They were doing dining room renovations. So there are a lot of folks who couldn't make their own reservations. And so being invited uh, was a big deal. Um, Now, as we've evolved, we don't do that much uh, dining invitations anymore. It's gotten old hat, and people have found their own ways of doing that. I like to think of that as a success story, but that's the challenge. You start something, and uh, even on the people who, another challenge is you get people who were alone, they start making friends, and then they form cliques, and then they leave everyone else out again. So you succeeded, but you failed because they're not open to other people. Um, um, so it's an ongoing process, and you just have to keep trying different things, trying to attract different folks. Uh,
We're not as organized as you are, but you all are an inspiration for us. Um, we have just started a group called the Silver Solos, which is not necessarily reaching out to those who don't come out of their apartments. We hope it will spread to that, but it is an attempt to include the solos in not only dining but other kinds of activities. They meet twice a month. That started as a function of the Friendship Committee, was then taken over by residents, which we're delighted about. We have a friendship table in our dining room for singles. Don't need to make a reservation, just come in and dine with each other. We have started what we call Circle of Friends for those who move in here for the first year. You will be invited to this group to meet with other new residents to hopefully form a bond with them and a few of the older residents. I use older carefully. Our sundry shop, which is new to us, we just opened a sundry shop. The mandate for the sundry shop was that it be not for profit, and then it exists to serve the needs of those with mobility issues who cannot perhaps get out to the stores like the rest of us. We are now in the Sundry Shop Committee trying to work out the logistics of a delivery system for those who do not leave their apartments and would like something from the store. How could we deliver it to them? And I think one of the biggest steps Searstone is taking is they are in the process of hiring a social worker who will serve the needs of those in independent living. And we asked that part of the job description be that they specifically reach out to those who are isolated, number one, and number two, educate the rest of us on the best way for us to reach out, and how to identify needs. So those are the scattered attempts. We hope to bring that under an umbrella and be a little bit more focused and organized. I do have a question, if this is the proper time to ask it.
Sure.
Um, we are becoming particularly focused on those who are not technologically savvy. So much of our life here depends on the portal. Everything is go to the portal, look on the portal, sign up on the portal. There are many people who cannot or will not. And I think a lot of those are the people who may be isolating in their apartments. Um, does anybody have a way to? I think the newsletter is a fabulous way to reach out to people, to put something in their cubby that they can read. Is there, do you all have any other thoughts on that?
Well,
So what is
we have a newsletter that comes out every other week. We have a what's called a PNV, Porter's Neck Village preview, which comes out once a month, and that lists all the activities for the month.
Mhm.
We have the portal, and I'm with you, Mary Lynn. I don't think we're at the point where everybody is so technologically savvy that we can give up on paper yet. But we do have it's Touchdown is what we use, and then that's linked into a TV channel where all the upcoming events that are on the app are projected on the TV for those who can't get out of the. And in fact, every night I read all the slides, and then that comes on the next morning.